welcome back to our channel. Ruth here, and in today's video I'm excited to share with you 3 things you must know in order to achieve financial freedom. So let's get started. Number 1, if possible, get out of debt as soon as possible, because many a times debt comes with interest. Now it's the interest that's actually draining your resources. Many a times you might enter into a contract to buy something, right? And then by the time you pay interest, you'll end up paying a lot more, and sometimes even double of what you originally signed up for. So it's so important, especially if you're getting into like a kind of installment payment option, you actually know exactly what you have signed up for. Ask questions, learn, and if possible, make sure you pay off your debt as soon as possible. Now, I understand that sometimes there's good debts and there's also necessary debts. For example, if you run a business and this business requires you to buy trucks and machineries and hire huge warehouses, and you have to pay your employees in order to make that turnover that you desire so that you can profit, then, well, you might actually have no choice but to actually get into or get a business loan for it. But what I'm trying to say is, if personally for yourself, for example, if you don't have to get into debt, then don't. Okay, for example, if you don't need certain things at the time, you know, you can actually wait for it. It's not a necessity, it's a want. Then instead of, you know, putting it on a credit card, you might just want to wait until you have the money before spending it. So that's step number 1. Get out of debt as soon as possible. And trust me, when you do, it's almost like this huge weight that's going to be lifted off of your shoulders. It's like the best thing ever. Number 2, make wise spending decision. Now, it could be that, you know, you might earn X amount of money every month for your business, or even if you're a worker and you get paid a certain amount. Consider reinvesting if it's a business instead of spending everything that you have, but also consider saving. That's really, really important, because every tiny little bit counts. And also in terms of making a wise spending decision, you can actually consider things like switching over to a cheaper products, but without compromising its quality. You can consider reduce spending by, let's say, not buying coffee outside. You know, if some of you have heard of my, listened to some of these other videos I shared, I talk about how if you're a worker and you spend $5 every day on coffee, on a lunch break, you know, that's about $25 to $30 a week. And in 1 month's time, you'll be spending about $100 just on coffee. And so if you save the $100 and over a course of the next 12 months in a year, you would have saved $1,200. And at the same time, if you're used to going out, you know, for lunch, you know, during your lunch break at work, and you're spending like, let's say, $10 a day, you know, that's a lot of money. So you can actually save up. And by the end of the year, you could easily have saved $5,000, and that money you could use it to pay off your debt, reinvest, or actually put it in like a fixed term deposit to earn interest, right? So there's a lot of things that you can actually do by taking tiny adjustments, like packing your own lunch to work. Okay, so definitely make wise spending decision, and do not buy what you don't need. Don't put it on a credit card, and buy cash as much as possible. You know, there was this one time when where I listened to Michael, the producer. So he's a YouTuber, but he's a very successful music producer. I think he's from the UK, but he now lives in the US. And so he takes people around on his YouTube channel to go visit the best mansions in LA, and then he goes to this expensive watch shops, etc., and he'll wear diamond earring and diamond watches, you know. But one time he actually said, he gave a really good piece of advice. You know, he says, well, if you want to buy a $50,000 watch, he said, now he has the capacity to buy that. Like, in fact, he's got a lot of watches. He's a very wealthy businessman. But he says, if you want to buy a $50,000 watch, instead of taking it out of your savings, he says, perhaps you can use what money you have to actually invest that, And with the return, so let's say the interest or the return of investment is $50,000, you can then use that to buy your toy, right? So you're not actually depleting your resources. And I thought to myself, wow, a wealthy man like him would actually think that way, and he actually practices what he preaches. And I thought to myself, maybe that's why he became so wealthy, because a lot of us, we probably don't understand that, and we, look at what's coming and then we just spend everything we have. And that's actually really scary. I've got friends and acquaintances, I've seen them over the years, they've made like $1 million for their business turnover like a year, and yet there's nothing saved, they're still in debt, they haven't paid off their house. And I'm thinking to myself, what went wrong? Could it be that whatever that came in, they just spend it? I don't know. So I think it's really important that we actually make wise spending decision as much as possible. Reduce spending, save. Like Michael, the producer, said, if you want to buy a toy that is really like a $50,000 watch, consider reinvesting the money and use the interest money to actually buy that. I think that's really wise. And finally, the third one is, in order to achieve financial freedom, you must have a clear vision and plan. Now, that's really important. I think that's the basis of everything in life, isn't it? I mean, even for example, if you want to drive between where you are now to the grocery store, you need to have a vision. You need to know exactly where you're going, because if you start driving, you get in the car and you go, I'm going to a grocery store, but I have no idea where it is. You don't have a GPS. You're in a completely new country. You're not going to get to your destination. You're going to get stuck right where you are. But if you have a clear vision as to where you're going and you plan your journey, guess what? You're going to get there. So that's the same way when it comes to financial freedom. Have a vision to be debt free. Have a vision to say, hey, how is it going to be like, when I'm financially free? What kind of car am I going to drive? What kind of houses am I going to be living in? What kind of vacations I'll be taking my family on. And so you have to have a plan, a clear plan. And so, for example, if you've got a credit card and you're owing $8,000 on it, write it down and say, credit card number 1, I'm owing $8,000. Gotta pay this off first. Number 2, let's say your vision is to save $10,000 so that by the 31st of December of that year, you want to take your family on a memorable, unforgettable vacation. So then you write it down and say, $10,000 is how much we are going to save. And then you work backwards and say, well, how much income, how much money do I have to save on a monthly basis so that I can reach $10,000 by, the 31st of December. And then from there you think, okay, well, I'm going to reduce spending. I'm not going to buy lunch at work. I'm not going to buy coffee. I'm going to pack my own lunch, make it 3-in-1 coffee and save that money. But also, in terms of your bigger dreams and goal, if you want to pay off the house, how much have you borrowed? How much is still owing? So it's time to really confront yourself and say, what's my real financial position? And don't be afraid to take that step. Or the next car you want to buy, which is your dream car, how much money do you need for that? And also, there might be a time where you need to actually do something different that's going to help just take you over to that, greater financial position. It could be as simple as starting a side business. It could be doing a couple of side hustles. I've heard of people who, come home from work after 5 o'clock and they'll just do like online services such as logo editing, copywriting, checking resumes, just online things that they do like for 2 hours each night. And they're getting paid about $1,000 a week because they're doing different things. So everything counts, because if you look at $1,000 a week, that could potentially replace your 8 to 5 income or double it. Because if it's $1,000 a week, it's $4,000 at least a month. And for the whole year, you're looking at $50,000 more in terms of your income, right? So that could essentially set you up to a way greater financial position, and it's going to accelerate your desire to become financially free as well. So I hope that the contents of this video was helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. And before you go, would you be so kind to hit the like and subscribe button so it can keep you motivated. And it's going to mean the world to me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.